Hi there, Joka here, and in this video I'm going to show you some products that are new in the Spellbinders shop. This collection is called Color Block Mini Shapes, and yeah, they might seem familiar if you've been following me for a while, because I'm gonna show you right now some old cards that I made. This one is a very similar shape that was part of a die set last year, and this one as well, some club kits. And this one is not similar, but I just wanted to show you that I love using small dies to create a pattern background. And some other new products in the shop are these four new colors of cardstock. The blue being my absolute favorite. Okay, so what I did, I chose two different color schemes for kind of like a feminine card, and then two different ones for a more masculine design. And I'm die cutting all these shapes. I went with the drops and the I think they are called Petals, and then originally I wanted to go with the hexagons, but I already did hexagons before, so I don't think I've done squares, so I did that. And also triangles I definitely didn't, so yeah, I'm gonna go with the squares and the triangles for the masculine cards, and then the other two for the feminine ones. And so what I love about these, I think I mentioned it in my other video today as well, that you know, when they were part of another die set, just a small little shape, they did not have a backing piece, so I had to fussy cut all of those, and so it really took ages to do that. But here now you get two dies in the set, and then so you can just layer them like so. Again, this this saves a lot of time. So because you know, you could just glue everything directly on your card front, but I never do that because I never know what pattern I want to create, so I like to move around my shapes on the card front. And this is why for me this is really, really great, because you know, it saves time. So here I am trying to figure out what I want to do, if I want to just go like in a horizontal way or something else. You will see what I did in the end. And you know, you could also just use the same colorway for each and every square, but then just remember that then you will have to do a lot more die cutting, because you will need the same square, same size square for your for the same color, so you will have to die cut them as many times, you know. And then of course that also means that you will have a lot more squares in different colors as well, so you could actually mass produce your cards in different colorways. Again, I was really short on time, so I did not do that, but honestly I would have loved to. This is like my favorite thing. I love die cutting and, you know, building patterns. So in this video actually it's basically that's what I'm doing, and I'm not only gonna use this collection to build patterns, but also one die set from another new collection called By Perfection, and I will be using a die set that has the tiniest dies in it. honestly, it surprised me how tiny it was. It does make sense because they are just decorations for the pies in the collection, but they are like smaller than my fingernails. But yeah, they are fun, so you will see. Now I am trimming off the excess, and what I noticed is I wanted to use some solid color squares, as you can see, but I wasn't loving it. I loved the multicolored ones so much that in the end I ended up adding some extra. Well, you will see. I am trimming off the edges, and this took me a while to get right because there were several layers of paper and my trimmer was struggling. But I just wanted to have a little bit of white edge around this busy panel. So yeah, I had to trim a little bit off. So I now created my card base, and then this is what I was talking about. I am going to add some of these colorful squares using foam tape, so there's gonna be a little bit of extra dimension there, which I guess from this angle you will not see, but it does make a difference in person. I was so sad to cover up that beautiful blue, the new cardstock. I'm really obsessed with it. It's gorgeous. But yeah, I just really like these colors, and so I left the 6 like half squares on the side that were just one single color. I left them that way. Only the middle ones that were kind of, more visible, those I changed. Okay, and then this card actually, well, I will set it aside, but I will only add a sentiment later because, the background is already so kind of, it looks intricate. I did not want to hide any of it, so I did not add anything else. Now I am kind of building hexagons, if you will see that. But yeah, I mean, in the end, they are just triangles. But there was a method to my madness. Let's just say that. So the colors are going the same way, so to say. And what I wanted to do here is just add I did not cover a whole background with it, and the reason I trimmed it off here at the top and the bottom, that was not planned, but I did that because I completely, even though I measured the center, I managed to somehow do it all crooked. So I am going to create a card base, and then it will have that white edge at the top and the bottom that I was planning to have originally. And I will be honest, this panel I completely messed up with all the layers. My trimmer was struggling, and I cut into it in a way that it didn't trim nicely. So I would not give that card to anyone. But I did leave it in the video because you can still see the design. Maybe you like the design and you want to try it, or or the colors for men. I know a lot of you ask for masculine color combos and things like that. So next up is one of the feminine cards. I did not want to cover the whole thing, so I'm just creating a simple kind of like a floral design. And for this you don't need a lot of these shapes. As you can see, I will just need 12, and I I don't know, I was wondering if I should trim off the edges that will kind of hang off there. But I didn't, because I liked the, you know, I like that look. So I'm setting that aside as well. And then this one, which is my favorite shape, and also I really like this color combination, but somehow when I put them together, I was not in love. I think, I don't know, maybe this would be the one where I would, if I did it again, maybe I would use the same colorway for every shape. I'm not sure. But what I was struggling with the most with this shape is creating a pattern that I actually liked. Honestly, I left it, I set it aside, and came back to it the next day. I still didn't have a clue what I want. So I mean, I will probably leave a couple of options in the video, but I definitely tried more. It just, I don't know, somehow everything I tried looked somehow either weird or old-fashioned, or I don't know, I was just not in love with any of it. I mean, I like this one, but I didn't know what to do with the top. And so I just kind of went with this design, but then I covered the whole background. But it's exactly the same design. And for that, I had to die cut more of these drops because I didn't have enough. So I added one more yellow, so I had some lighter colors as well. And I'm just, you know, placing everything next to each other and then filling the holes between the drops. It's kind of self-explanatory or straightforward, or whatever you want to call it. And once I was done, I just trimmed off the teeny tiny bit that that was off to the sides. And now I also I trimmed it off actually, just so that it's a bit smaller than the card base. And this is the die set that I was talking about, with the teeny tiny decorations for your pies. And I ended up using the flowers for the feminine cards, and then I created a card with the masculine colors that I really like, just using the apple. Normally, I like to create patterns with different shapes, so different, I don't know, I was planning to use all the different little fruits, and then, you know, not a perfect arrangement that this is gonna be, this is gonna be like a grid kind of design. I don't tend to go for this, but I don't know, I just wanted to do something else. Now, this embossing folder is from Fun Stamper's Journey. I don't know, but I will check if Spellbinders has this still in the shop. And as you could see, I embossed the two, well, just the top and the bottom separately, because the embossing folder is smaller than the panel. And I wanted to add this sentiment kind of not in the middle, but a bit more towards the top. So I kind of tried the placement, how many apples I can place at the top and at the bottom, and where I can where I don't have to emboss, so I have space for my sentiment, if that makes sense. But I hope it will make sense once you see it. So I created my card base, and now I am adding some not very dimensional foam sheet. This is like maybe a millimeter thick, and yeah, but it still adds some dimension. And I'm using these alpha die set, or alpha, yeah, die set. That was new a couple of months ago, I think. I don't know if it was March. No, that cannot be March. Maybe February. But again, I don't remember the name of it. You know me, I'm terrible. But I feel like it was something Be Bold, maybe, collection. So I die cut the apples from a variety of cardstock, and then I mix and match the colors just so that it's fun. And yeah, and then I'm adding foam tape to all of them, and then just place them down. It's a very simple design, but I think it's fun, and maybe it's good for teachers, for example. But then, of course, I shouldn't have put the hello sentiment on it. Maybe thanks. Yeah, I should have done that because my kid is gonna need that card. Well, if I could plan ahead. Okay, so as you could see, the second card, I only added the sentiment to, nothing else. And then this one, I will add the sentiment vertically and just a few enamel dots. I do have all the colors that kind of matched my colors. Colors that match my colors. That makes sense, right? You know what I mean. It's super late or early in the morning, so it's no wonder that I'm kind of, you know, blabbering here. I hope I'm not driving you crazy, guys. So anyway, moving on to the next card. I die cut the little flowers and leaves from white cardstock because I wanted them to pop on that colorful background, but I also didn't really want to cover a lot of that because I really like the colors and I really like the shape of the these mini, what are they called again? Color block mini shapes. Yeah, so I'll just arrange this floral cluster here in the middle of that other flower, and I had to place some foam tape under, so kind of like where the four petal shapes meet. I did not have foam tape there. I did not, because I wasn't planning ahead again. So I just used my tweezers to kind of push that in so that I, you know, it doesn't collapse there when I want to add these flowers on top. So yeah, I used 2 layers of the little flower, and I use some foam tape in between. And you can see normally I kind of bend up the petals, but here I did not shape anything. I just left them flat. It's kind of like a different look for me, but I like the way that looks. And I will add a few enamel dots to, you know, to finish them off. I kind of don't feel like without it, it's me. And for the sentiments, the congrats sentiment is again from the same collection that I mentioned before. Yeah, I really like to use those, and I did layer 2, no, maybe 3 of those die cuts to add some dimension. And the same here on this card. I'm just using a different sentiment, but it's from the same die set. And again, I layered 3 die cuts so that they pop from that background. And while I did not want to cover a lot of that pattern that I created, I mean, if I already put that much effort into it, but wow, you know me, I need flowers. I just did not feel that my card was finished when I added this sentiment. I guess it could be because the background is already interesting enough, it's full of color, but yeah, like I said, I need flowers. So I'm creating 2 little clusters in the opposite corners there, and I'm hoping that there's still enough of the pattern left to see. But you know, you can go about it any which way you prefer. I mean, now that I look at it, actually it doesn't look like it wouldn't have been finished without the flowers. You see, this is so interesting, right? When I'm working on something, I look at it in a totally different way. Then later on, I see it on the screen, and I notice different things. And sometimes I like things the way I did not choose to go. But yeah, I guess that happens to everyone, right? Or maybe it's just, you know, you like different things today than tomorrow. Weird. Anyway, I'm blabbering. I'm really sorry. I'm trying to finish these voiceovers before we go on holiday, so I'm kind of running on fumes here. I've been running on 3 hours sleep for the past weeks, and 4 coffees a day. So yeah, not that I'm looking for excuses. Every single time I do a voiceover, there's something, right? Okay, so finishing up, I'm adding some enamel dots as always for some color pop. Okay, so here are the cards close up. So they are all the mini slimline size, right? 6 1/4 by 3 1/4. If I haven't mentioned, I don't think I mentioned it. Anyway, I hope you like these mini shapes as much as I do. I hope you give them a try. It's so fun. You can create all kinds of patterns and all kinds of colors. The possibilities are really endless. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next month. Bye bye.